Our next caller is Joe from Mena, Arkansas. Hi, Joe. Welcome to the Narrow Path. Thanks for calling.
Oh, hi. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for taking my call. I found you about a year ago on YouTube, and I'm so glad I did. I've learned a lot. My question is Matthew chapter 12. This has been bothering me for years, and I don't know if it's even answerable. But Jesus tells the Pharisees, as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the fish, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights. That sounds intentional in the center of the earth. Everybody seems to think that he died on Friday. You can't get 3 nights there, and I don't know. I kind of think that maybe it was a Wednesday or a Thursday because there were 2 Passovers that week, and I don't know. What's your perspective on that?
Well, there are definitely people who argue for a Wednesday crucifixion. There are some who argue for a Thursday crucifixion. The majority of Christians believe it was a Friday crucifixion. And I think the ones who go for a different day than Friday are looking to make it a literal 3 days and 3 nights. Because you're right. I mean, between Friday afternoon, if the time that's usually assumed that Jesus died was a Friday afternoon, and on Sunday morning when he rose, that may be parts of 3 days, but it's only 2 nights. There's no 3 nights in there. And so they say, well, to get a third night, we have to have him crucified maybe on Thursday. So you got Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. Then he's raised on Sunday. Or some have suggested Wednesday. So he's dead Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Friday night, and perhaps he rises Saturday night, and does. They find the tomb empty early Sunday morning. There are different ways people have gone on this. Now, the problem here is the assumption that Jesus was being absolutely literal when he said he'd be in the heart of the earth 3 days and 3 nights. And the reason that's a problematic thing is because Jesus, on at least three different occasions, and the apostles on at least one or more occasions afterward, said that Jesus would rise or did rise on the third day.
Yes.
And so if he's literally dead 3 days and 3 nights, and he rises after that, it's going to be the fourth day, because after 3 days and 3 nights, you've got another day, a fourth day. And so if he's going to rise on the third day, it can't be after being literally 3 days and 3 nights in the tomb. Now, repeatedly, Jesus told his disciples, I'm going to rise on the third day. And years afterwards, Paul in 1 Corinthians 15 says, and he did rise on the third day. Well, then what do they do with the 3 days and 3 nights? Well, I believe, first of all, we have to note that when he uses the term 3 days and 3 nights in Matthew 12, verse 40, it's the only time in the Bible that you have that expression for Christ's time in the tomb, 3 days and 3 nights. And he is quoting from the book of Jonah directly. The language is from Jonah chapter 1, verse 17. In Jonah 1:17 it says, now the Lord prepared a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. So that's where Jesus gets the phrase. Now, 3 days and 3 nights in the Hebraic idioms that were often used could be, to the Jewish mind, not to ours, but he wasn't speaking to Americans, he was speaking to Jews. To the Jewish mind, the term 3 days and 3 nights can mean parts of 3 days. And we might say, but that's not literal. You're right, it's not. It's not literal. But there's no nation, no society, no culture in the world that ever restricted itself to only literal speech. There's figures of speech. And in Israel, 3 days and 3 nights would be seen as a figure of speech that mean parts of 3 days. And Jesus might not have used that figure of speech at all, except that he was drawing the connection with Jonah. It says in Jonah that it was 3 days and 3 nights. He said, well, just like Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the fish, so I'm going to be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. So he's not, in my opinion, being literal about the 3 days and 3 nights. I think he's simply using an idiom that any Jew would have recognized means at least parts of 3 days.
Okay. All right, that's always bothered me, and I did study idioms, and it just depends on what perspective you're looking at. I was I got on and looking at guys who agree with the Wednesday night, and of course they're going to tell you something different than the ones on for Friday. But
Right. I've seen the case. I've seen the case for all of those different suggestions. And often what they will say when they're making it either Wednesday or Thursday, obviously the ones who think it's Wednesday must think the ones who say it's Thursday are wrong. The ones who think it's Thursday must think the ones who say it's Wednesday are wrong. The ones who think it's Friday must think the other two are wrong. So obviously, no matter how good a case anyone makes, there's someone who has another position that they make a good case for too. The question is which is best. Now, what they usually do, they usually think they know what year Jesus was crucified, and that is simply not known with certainty. He was crucified around 30 A.D. Some think maybe as late as 33 A.D. It's not known the exact year, and therefore it's not known the exact date, but it was Passover season. Now, what they will say, since it says that Jesus was standing before Pontius Pilate and condemned to death and crucified, it says on the preparation. It says it was on the preparation for the Passover. Now, the preparation is a technical term the Jews used every week for Friday. It's the preparation of the Sabbath. So just as we call the sixth day of the week, or the fifth day of the week, we would call sixth day actually. We call it Friday. They called it the preparation because among the Jews that was the day you had to make preparations for the Sabbath. And so when it says it was the preparation for the Passover, it probably means it was Friday of the Passover week, or at least that's one way it's often understood. So it was Friday of that week. Now some say, well, but it was a special Passover. At Passover time, it was a different time of the week every year because it wasn't it's sort of like with us Christmas. Christmas is a different day of the week each year. So Passover week began and ended on different days of the week, and so some people say, well, there were two Sabbaths, as it were. There was the Saturday Sabbath that week, and then there was the Sabbath that was at the beginning of the Passover week. And so the preparation was not Friday, but let's just say Passover week was beginning on Thursday that week, and therefore it was Wednesday night. Now, this is all speculation. I've seen them work out the numbers. They say, well, in the year 32 A.D., the Passover began on a Thursday, and therefore it was a Wednesday. Jesus was right. But yeah, they're picking the year at random because no one knows the exact year Jesus was crucified anyway, and it would be a different day of the week every year. So I don't think we have to settle the day when Jesus was crucified. I don't think it's important for us to know what day it was. But if we wonder how it could be that Jesus may have been crucified on Friday, as Christians have always believed, and yet he was 3 days and 3 nights, the answer is that the 3 days and 3 nights appears to be an idiom rather than a literal statement of chronology. At least that's how I understand it.
Okay. So you believe that it was Friday that he was crucified then too?
Well, yeah, if he was crucified on Friday and he rose on Sunday, that would be the third day.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Can I ask one question that's related to this? It just popped in
quickly.
my head.
Our lines are full, but go ahead. Yeah.
I'm sorry. In John's Gospel, it says that he was crucified on the preparation day for the Passover because the Jews didn't want to enter Pilate's gates. But on the Synoptic Gospels, it says it was on the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. How does that reconcile?
Well, again, Passover can refer to the Paschal Day, which was followed by 7 days of unleavened bread, or the whole week. The whole festival can be the Passover. Okay. So if it said it was the preparation for the Passover, and if preparation is being used of the typical way of meaning the Friday, it would mean it was Friday of the Passover week. It may also be that the Passover festival started on Saturday that year, and in which case it was both Friday of the Passover week and also it was also the day before the Passover meal. But it is interesting. The Synoptic Gospels do indicate that Jesus kept the Passover with his disciples in the upper room, and yet he was crucified the next day. And
John's is different, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the next what it says is that the Jews didn't want to enter Pilate's house because they didn't want to become unclean because they wanted to keep the Passover. And again, if we think of the Passover as the Paschal meal, well, Jesus and his disciples had it the night before, so why would the Jews not have had it the same day? But if it means they wanted to keep the whole feast, and they didn't want to interrupt their participation in the feast by getting unclean by going into the house of Pilate, that would make sense of the statement too.
I see. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Steve. I don't want to take up more of your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, Joe, good talking to you. Thanks for your call.